Welcome, students. This is the first video that I'm making for my Algebra 2 classes for me and Miss Harmeyer. This is going to be included in our flipped classroom. So this video is one that you want to take notes on according to the rubric that you guys got in class. So today we're going to delve into our first unit, which is going to deal with polynomials. And today we're going to talk about 6-1, which is polynomial functions, which you can see right up here. You might want to record that into your notebook. And we have a couple of objectives today. And our objectives are, number one, going to be to classify polynomials. So to be able to look at it and to be able to describe it. And then for two, we're going to model data using polynomial functions. So these are the two things that we want to achieve today. First, let's get into our vocabulary. Okay. So let's get into our vocabulary. Having the same vocabulary will help us describe these different types of polynomials, because unlike quadratics in linear equations, which we got into last semester, there are many, many different types of polynomials. So it helps to have a good understanding of the vocabulary so that we can describe them. This is an example of a polynomial function, which you have a sub n x nth degree plus a sub n yada yada yada, so on and so on, where n is a non-negative integer and the coefficients a sub n all the way to a0 are real numbers. So for right now, we're going to talk about real numbers versus imaginary numbers, which I know you guys had fun with in chapter 5. So let's break down this chart a little bit. First, we're going to talk about degrees, and then the name that you would use based on the degree. And then we're going to go into polynomial examples, the number of terms in the example, and then the name we're going to use based on those number of terms. So we're going to describe our polynomials using the name, using the degree, and the name for the number of terms. So there's two different types of terms we're going to use. So let's look at this first example. If our degree is 0, this is called a constant. And an example of a constant is the number 6. Number 6 is a constant. In this example, this particular example, there's one term. So this is a mononomial. One term. Here, we're going to deal with 1 degree. So the name for this would be a linear. And the polynomial example for this is x plus 6. This is our example that we're using. In this case, there's 2 terms, 1, 2. And this is a binomial. This is what we would call this. Here, we're dealing with the 2nd degree. So we're going to call this a quadratic. This is a quadratic. An example of this is 3x squared. In this particular example, there's 1 term here. So this is a mononomial. This is a quadratic monomial. Here we're going to deal with the 3rd degree, which is called a cubic. 2x cubed minus 5x squared minus 2x. Because there are 1, 2, 3 terms here, this is going to be called a trinomial. So this particular example is a cubic trinomial. For the 4th degree, this is a quartic. It's a weird name, but it's quartic. X to the 4th plus 3x squared is the example we're going to use for this. Because there are 1, 2 terms, this is again a binomial. And then finally, we're going to deal with the 5th degree, which is quintic. And our particular example that we're going to use is negative 2x to the 5th power plus 3x squared minus x plus 4. And the number of terms here is 4. So we're going to say this is a polynomial of 4 terms. If you need to pause the video to record this chart in your notebook, now would be a good time to do so. Moving on. So let's get into some vocabulary terms. A polynomial is a monomial or the sum of monomials. That's what a polynomial is. So the degree of a term is determined by the exponent of the variable. So by the exponent of the variable. The standard form of a polynomial has terms shown in descending order by degree. So no matter what the largest degree is, put that first, and then you're going to put them in descending order by degree. So if we look at this example here, this part of this equation is the polynomial. This is our leading coefficient, it's first. And this is a cubic term, according to vocabulary on the chart. So this is a cubic term. Next, we have our quadratic term, squared. Then we have our linear term. Finally, we'll put our constant term. And that's how you would order a polynomial. The degree of the polynomial is the largest degree of any term in the polynomial. So in this case, it's a cubic. Okay. All right, so we're going to move on to a few examples. And in example 1, we're going to classify these different polynomials that you see. We're going to write each polynomial first in standard form, and then we're going to classify it by its degree and by its number of terms. So in this case, you might want to refer back to that chart that we went through in the beginning. Here, for problem A, we're going to deal with 9 plus x cubed. We're going to rewrite this in standard form. We're going to put x cubed plus 9. Again, to put these in standard form, we put them in descending order by the largest degree. So how would we write this based on its degree and its number of terms? We're going to say, because the largest degree is cubed, we're going to say this is a cubic. And because there's 2 terms, we're going to say this is a binomial. This is a cubic binomial. So on to example B. Again, we're going to rewrite this in standard form first before we try to classify it. We're going to put negative 3x to the 4th power plus x cubed minus 2x squared. Because the 4th power is the leading degree, we're going to say this is a quartic trinomial. It's a trinomial because, again, there's 1, 2, 3 terms here that you're going to work with. If you need to pause the video, now would be a good time to do so. So these quick checks are ones that you should do on your own. These are just like the examples that we just did together. But for the sake of time, I'm going to move on. So as you can tell, there's a lot of things that we need to work out in the production of these videos. I think as the semester goes on, they'll get a lot better. I think some of these are going to be a little rough at first, so bear with us. But I hope that you guys are taking very detailed notes. And just remember, if I'm going too fast, you can always pause the video. You can always rewind the video. You can always rewatch the video. So I really think that these will be great tools in the semester coming up. So if there's any questions or comments that you have, make sure that you write them down in your notebook so that you can ask me during class. Thank you. Can't wait to see you guys.